welcome to the School Board Report. I'm McCowan Warwick for BSTN, and joining me today is School Board President Jeff Barone. Thank you for being here today, Mr. Barone.
Thanks for having me.
It was a very busy board meeting this week. Let's talk about some of the student recognition, both academic and athletic.
I think I'll start with the Quiz Bowl team. I'm always fascinated by the amount of success that they're having over there. They're undefeated 4 years in a row, and I believe they placed fourth in the state of Ohio. I also know that they are headed to Atlanta over Memorial Day weekend for nationals. We honored our swim team again, our high school swim team. We know Coach O'Halloran is retiring, but he's left it in capable hands with Coach Carlo and Coach Chad. Always impressed by the number of records, both at the high school and the All-American level that they break, and of course they're all good students. We recognize Ben Berkey for his success on the bowling team. This year he placed 32 out of 205 at the state.
Wow.
Also impressive was the fact that he just received his Eagle Scout Award. And I'm also impressed by that. It takes a great deal of commitment. I think he's headed to Kent State for college. We honored the Glenwood Junior High School wrestling team. They won the Eastern Ohio Wrestling League. They were 1 out of 30 teams, which is impressive. They had 7 individuals go to state. And overall, we recognize many students with a 4-point GPA. The reoccurring theme for me is a lot of the student athletes are good time blockers, and it helps them become really good students, and it certainly shows.
I agree. Speaking of athletics, the board approved a new waiver that excuses athletes from the physical education requirements for graduation. Can you explain how that works and what it means for students and parents?
You know, that's something that we have been asked time and time again, and it just makes sense to us once again. It had made sense to us in the past, and then the state had changed some guidelines for us. The important thing to know is that if you participate in athletics or the marching band for 2 seasons, that you'll qualify for that waiver. But also it's important to know we're still working out some of the kinks, so our administrators will communicate with parents and students here shortly on some of the nuances of the program.
Oh, well, that's very nice though. The co-chair of the Friends of Boardman Schools, Linda Buechner, gave the board an update from the levy committee. Can you pass along the highlights?
Sure, but before I do that, I do want to say that Linda's doing a fantastic job. I mean, there's a person that is going above and beyond, and we all see it. You have about 18 or 20 committed people on that committee, and we are committed to delivering, answering questions, being transparent, ultimately delivering the value propositions that the schools deliver, especially to the taxpayers or the stakeholders that feel a little disconnected. It's a great deal of information on protectthetradition2018.com. A lot of short videos on there, and a lot of people have worked very hard. My perspective, being the advocate for the taxpayer or the stakeholder here, along with my fellow board members, is we've had a front row seat to some of the struggles that the state of Ohio is having trying to improve education in the state of Ohio. Absolutely is a head scratcher to me, some areas where ultimately they're taking money from productive, successful school districts and giving it to school districts that are ultimately failing their students. Which brings me to some of the message that I delivered to people walking door to door this past weekend was that we are going to pay for the school system that we want, and that's what our legislators want us to do. We had 120 or better volunteers this weekend knock on people's doors, stand in their driveways, on their front porches, on their front lawns, and answer questions. And it was good. It's good to get out and hear what people really are thinking. But I feel a great deal of support out there right now, and I'm very hopeful that on May 8th we'll be successful.
Very good. Me too. Recently, the Board Civic Association held its scholarship dinner, and YSU President Tressel gave the keynote speech. Can you tell us how the Boardman schools played a part in that?
Sure. But first, I'll start with YSU President Jim Tressel. If you've never heard him speak, he's a master with words. He's very good at it. I sat there and he gave 3 tips to being successful to our students that were there. I think there were 116 of them seniors that qualified with a 3.5 GPA or better. But Jim asked everybody and the students in the crowd if they had a cell phone, and he said, please go to your notes page, and I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice that'll make you very successful, wildly successful. And the third piece of advice was, he said, be curious. Don't ever stop asking questions. Push yourself and for more information, basically. The second was to have some grit. He said, a little bit of life's tough, get a helmet. Things are not always going to be rainbows and teddy bears. So you got to be tough. And a lot of the students that were there, they have that toughness because they have the grades and they know how to do that. But the number one thing he said that resonated was, he said, to be selfless. He said, if we can put the needs of others ahead of ourselves, then we will be wildly successful. So that was my takeaway. It was impressive. Of the 116, we had maybe 61 or 62 that came to the dinner. And of those, 5 received scholarships, which was nice. We also honored Kim Poma that night. The Boardman Civic Association honored Kim Poma with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And many people were taken aback by her commitment to the school system because she was involved in PTA for 16 years. As the president some years, as a committee chair with many different committees. But after that, she saw the next step of community service as being on the school board, and she served on the school board for 16 years. So what I would say to the folks that are listening is, if you see Kim out in the community, when you see her, see someone that gave 32 years of her life for Boardman Schools, and just thank her, because not that that's why she got into it, but I think it's nice to say thank you to people.
I agree. So I couldn't help but notice, because I am a senior, but here we are, just a month or so left of school. And I was wondering if there's anything you'd like to add about our 100th year.
So what I just recently learned is that during our graduation ceremony, we're going to have graduates from different years accompany the procession into the gymnasium, which I think will be nice. And you probably know this, but the good people at the BSTN here have put together a lot of little videos and whatnot that'll be available on social media and on alumni websites that will also kind of support the last piece of the 100th year of celebration with our academics here.
Wow.
Yeah, exciting.
Very exciting. Well, thank you, Mr. Brown, for being here. We want to remind everyone the next school board meeting is Monday, May 21st at Market Street Elementary School. For BSTN, I'm McCallum Warwick. Have a great day, Spartans.